Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS and the inventor of the CTKS method and BORSOG trading. If you're new, a very warm welcome and welcome back KS family. Please note I don't have WhatsApp or Telegram. We saw some pretty impressive gains overnight in the main market. We know that Bitcoin cannot escape the stock market's gravity and Bitcoin rules the crypto market, so of course the crypto market did quite well as well. The main market saw across-the-board gains. The next FOMC meeting is in about 26 days. We saw the probability of a 25 basis point increase in the federal funds rate rise up from 62.6% to today 74.2%. Let's pop across to Twitter and start checking out some charts. There's been quite a lot of economic data released in the past 24 hours. Canada saw an incredible increase in its employment, 104,000 versus an estimated 5.5 thousand. The unemployment rate was estimated to come in at 5.2%. It came in at 5%. The Canadian economy is really quite strong. One thing that bolstered markets was the average hourly earnings month on month came in lower than anticipated, 0.3% versus 0.4%. But offsetting this, we saw non-farm employment change coming in stronger than anticipated, 223,000 versus 200,000. The Fed is seeking demand destruction. This is not good news for the Fed. Also, the unemployment rate was expected to come in at 3.7%. It came in lower at 3.5%. Also, not good news for the Fed. The ISM Services PMI is indicating contraction in the services sector of the economy, coming in at 49.6 versus an estimated 55. Each day I seek to put up very interesting pieces of statistical information for you, and let's have a look at the unemployment rate. We can see that the job market remains really tight. Unemployment is falling. Another thing to look at is the average hourly earnings growth. We can see that it's starting to turn down. We can also see that the change in non-farm payrolls, 223,000, it's been gradually coming down. But it's not coming down as fast as expected. There's been some positive surprises. One thing that I find really interesting, people are actually working less. Even though more people are working, they're working less time. In fact, the number of weekly hours worked is the lowest since April 2020. I've provided some pretty in-depth statistics on my Twitter feed. I believe that markets are also getting bolstered by China's relaxing of the three red lines rule. The real estate is 25% of China's GDP, so whatever the CCP does with the Chinese property market will have very, very wide-reaching impacts on its GDP and, of course, its growth. Chinese financial analysts are therefore raising their earnings estimates since the reopening. However, businesses remain cautious, and corporate lending has been weak in China in recent months. Consumption is unlikely to return to historical trend levels, and Chinese home prices continue to fall. 2/3 of the top 30 Chinese developers have crossed at least one red line. And with the red lines potentially being relaxed, that's going to change the composition of the Chinese property development market. Real estate stocks in China bottomed out in late October, early November. And the relaxing of the three red lines is only going to improve this situation. China is expected to grow at least 5% in 2023. With China's reopening, that's going to relieve a lot of inflationary pressures globally. China is the factory of the world. If the factories close down, everything becomes more scarce, prices go up. When C-19 hit, supply chains broke. This has actually led a lot of countries to reshore their operations, to bring them back from China and to set them up locally. We can see how China's reopening has actually improved its market. It's starting to rally. When looking at economic and statistical data, it's really important to gain an overall perspective. It's also important not to confuse short-term fluctuations with long-term requirements. It's really important that inflation is brought down. And why is that? Because when you look around at global inflation, when global inflation reaches unmanageable levels, the people in those countries absolutely suffer. For example, Zimbabwe has 244% inflation, Venezuela 156%. Looking at the main markets, and Masterclass students, you get my live charts in TM6, we can see fear has actually taken a bit of a nosedive down. It doesn't mean it's broken trend just yet, but it's getting very close to it. In 2023, at some stage, we would expect the VIX to hit 35 or at least 42. This is just the nature of markets, and when it happens, just be prepared for it. We can see that the Nasdaq sought to bottom out, and bond prices have taken a leg up and bond yields have taken a leg down, based on the economic data, and I believe more so the China opening. Something to note, the Fed is trying to bring supply and demand back into balance. There's excess demand and restricted or constricted supply. With China opening, it can actually fix the supply side of that equation. That's why I did a deep dive into those Chinese statistics to try to give you a different perspective. We can see the dollar took a hit and gold rallied. A lot of people have been saying that oil will undergo demand destruction, but with China reopening, maybe not. It's a really good barometer to keep our eye on oil, and we can see that junk bonds have been signaling a lot of risk-on behavior. The markets are still under a degree of resistance, but you can see here we've made a higher low, and it looks like we're going to challenge the previous high. If that actually occurs, that's fantastic, but we don't bank on these things. We understand that the markets always are moving in a wave, up and down, and we're prepared whatever way the market goes. Because we don't need certainty, we just need a strategy to profit from uncertainty. And that strategy is our CTKS Daily 3-Dimensional Risk Management Code. We look at where the market went. It went up. What do we think the market will do tomorrow? Will it go up, stay flat, or go down? So down, neutral, and up. We actually consider the downside first, and this places you into the professional league immediately. Then we look at how that particular market action could play out on our portfolio, and lastly how in sync with the market we feel. The market is always transferring money from the desynchronized to the synchronized. Always remember, you control the trade or investment, but the market controls the return, and that return will be based on your active learning, your knowledge plus your courage. And the market always penalizes blame and gambling. Yesterday, we were looking at Bitcoin, which is currently trading at 16,951. Bitcoin has currently two smart money levels, and they're both support levels at the moment, 16,889 and 16,812. From our analysis yesterday, Bitcoin is still in a caution area, but it's looking much more positive. One thing that we know, all price moves in a wave. Price is always going up and down all the time. So if price comes back to within the 16,812 to 16,889, that's still a very constructive and positive action. It doesn't mean that we're going to see a sell-off, because these two smart money levels are very strong inside the market, and we've been seeing them prove themselves out. A movement above 17,000 would be viewed as very constructive. A move below 16,812 is a caution. Until around the 16,700 mark, a move below 16,700 would not be the best. As professionals, we just observe price action and we move with it. There's no need to overlay any stories or anything like that, just watch the key levels. And these levels are created through the CTKS Method Standards Certification process. The top gainers in the past 24 hours in the top 100, LDO, Ethereum Classic, Helium, Optimism, APT, Synthetics, LRC, and Cello. The greatest losers over the past 24 hours, top 100, USDN, ETHW, Chain, Chiliz, Tron, Flow, XEC, and Casper. Let's have a quick look into stablecoins, and Dan discovered why stablecoins aren't really stable. It's Dan's cat. As professionals, we're always looking for things that we can stack together and form increasing probabilities in one direction or another. There used to be an incredibly strong relationship between the market cap of Tether and how the crypto market actually moved. That association has weakened over time, but the stablecoins are still really important to keep your eye on. Masterclass students, I share two particular charts about stablecoins, one in TM14 and another in TM15. Let's turn to the top 8, and we can see that over this particular time period on the 15-minute, which covers quite a few days, since around the 30th of December up to the current date now, so about a week, we can see that Bitcoin has come up 2.13%. How does that actually relate to Ethereum over the same time period? Ethereum came up 3 times as much, 6.25%, approximately. And as Dan's cat is responsible, Tether and Circle are not stable coins. We can also see that BNB has come up nearly 6% over the same period of time. XRP is just up a little under 1%. Whoa, it just went down. And what do we notice with BUSD, the stable coin for Binance? It's just wobbling around, but we see a very different pattern, don't we, from Tether and Circle. What about Doge? Doge is up a little over 3%. Something to just keep in mind, Bitcoin is up around 2%. I'll just use 2% because it's easier for people to remember. Looking at the next 8, we can see ADA is up over 12%. That's a pretty good gearing ratio. And what about Matic? Up a little over 5%. DAI is a stable coin. Litecoin up a little over 11%. DOT nearly 9% up. Poor old Tron. Tron had an absolute sell-off in yesterday's session, and it's still down about 4%. And look at Solana. After getting whacked around the head severely, it's up 34%. The future is a little bit unclear for Solana at the moment, but it is a top project. And SHIB is up approximately 5%. Looking towards some more interesting projects, Uni up a little over 8%, AVAX around 8% up, Atom nearly 10% up, Link a little over 5%, XLM, Stellar nearly 5%, 4.6% up, Ape nearly 12% up, Quant just a little over 5%, and Algo nearly 9% up. But what you actually notice is Bitcoin's fingerprint. Look at that gravitational alignment, that blue line. You can see how it plays out on all of these alts. It's really important to understand where Bitcoin is going. If you don't know where Bitcoin is going, you do not know where your beloved alt is going either. The way to think about it, look at the main market first, understand all the ramifications, and then drill into Bitcoin and understand where it's going, and lastly, look at your alts. In yesterday's comments, we talked about if you had $1,000, who would you give it to get the best returns? There are actually 4 answers to this question, and it really depends on where people are. People inside Zone 1, the panic zone, the entitlement zone, would just look around. Who is offering 100% return or more for 0% loss? And then they'd just give their money to them. Zone 2, like Zone 1, they would look for the best possible return, the best possible stated return with the lowest possible risk. But it's all about the abdication of responsibility. Zone 2 hands over the hard-earned money so that they can say, if things go wrong, it's not my fault, it's their fault. Zone 3 is quite different. They have probability and rules. They're in the make money rule zone. They understand three-way decision making, they understand how percentages work and getting on the right side of the percentage. They have patience, they use the CTKS method, they have an understanding of price reality, they don't get caught up in stories. In Zone 3, they're more likely to handle the funds themselves. But people just entering Zone 2 into Zone 3 would probably look for a financial advisor to hand over their hard-earned funds. But those fully in Zone 3 would not do anything of the sort. In Zone 4, there's only one answer. Zone 4 always manages their own money. They would never seek to give it to anyone. Zone 4 has in all likelihood gone through Zone 1, Zone 2 and Zone 3, and they understand the only person that they can rely on is themselves, or, of course, their family members, but the family members must have knowledge as well. And most importantly, they have to have the right way of thinking. This raises the question for today: what kind of returns would a person in Zone 1 expect from $1,000? In Zone 2, what would they expect? In Zone 3, what would they expect? And in Zone 4, what would they expect in terms of returns? We have a very light-hearted and funny global family. Some of the answers given were just crazy, but they're meant to be because they're fun. And happiness and fun are part of positive excellence, as is also being kind and sharing. And there were many responses that were absolutely brilliant as well. Beardy said, "I would go all in and more on an obscure coin, 20,007 by market cap, and pray it going to the moon. April Fools!" Yeah, it wouldn't happen. Beardy would never do that. He's far too intelligent. Beardy raises an incredibly important point. Trading fees are something that you must keep your eye on. Always go for the lowest trading fees. It's really important that you manage the trading fee side of the equation. Congratulations, Dinesh, and happy birthday, my friend. Dinesh completed CTKS Masterclass 2.0 last night, and he was considering putting in 1,000 Great British pounds into a fund to trade. There were some concepts that he shared. Dinesh, one thing that I would suggest is that you seek to get into synchronization with the market first and foremost before actually dividing your funds. I would suggest doing coffee money trades on Bitcoin. Be careful about the trading fees. What you're after is not profitability but synchronization. The key is that synchronization is the way that you actually make money. Don't concern yourself about any specific percentage return. Just focus on getting into synchronization. I like to parallel trading to weight training as well, largely because I've spent so much time inside of gyms. When you're training with weights, there's a kind of a focus that you must go for the heaviest that you can possibly pick up when you start. That will just rip your arms off. Like everything, we actually need to start small and scale. Start with the smallest weight, not the largest. Absolutely ignore what everybody else around you is doing. They may be lifting heavy weights, but the truth is they're probably training for years, if not decades. Just look at the process in terms of just advancing. Don't be in a hurry, just take your time to get it right. I hope this helps because the way that you think will determine your success or otherwise. Once you've got a handle on synchronization, Art's comment was so incredibly insightful. Thank you for sharing, my friend. And Art and I have been in financial markets for decades. If you've found some other helpful things which could help out other members of our global family, please be sure to pop them in the comments. What we do each and every day is we try to lift each other up. We have literally one of the best communities on YouTube because we're very positive and we care about people, and you can see that coming out in the words. I would like to say thank you to each and every person who commented, and a very big thank you to you for watching. And with the CTKS method, if you've actually joined up or expressed your interest in joining up to the service, you should have received an automated email. If you haven't come across this email, it could have gone into your spam or potentially other folders, so just search for it. When you find that particular email, please let me know what kind of cryptos or other stocks, what tickers you're most interested in seeing inside the CTKS Method service. The goal of the service is to give you the levels that you really need to look at. Economic systems are incredibly complex, so you need to look at the interplay of macro variables first and foremost. A lot of people don't look at these. Inside the service, I'll do a monthly video to help you to understand the markets more effectively given current market conditions. A big thank you again to everybody who commented, and wishing everybody a fantastic weekend, and wishing you all a wonderful weekend ahead. Part of what we do each and every day as a Zone 4 Positive Excellence global family, we know that all results come from the mind, and a better mind creates better outcomes. Daily positive affirmations are part of that process. There's a very big thing that happens in Zone 4, and that is respect. Respect for yourself, but especially respect for others. The fastest way to show respect for anyone is through kindness and, of course, using the person's name. If you don't know their name, find it out. I have personally found through decades of corporate experience, those people that use other people's names are the ones to get promoted. Zone 4 thinks completely differently than Zone 3, Zone 2, and Zone 1. This is the elite zone where less than 5% of the population reside. But the good thing to know, nobody is fenced off from Zone 4. Zone 4 is available to everyone. Just as a thing for today, when you're out and about, try to use people's names and see what happens. Often they'll get absolutely shocked. Even though they may have a name badge on, watch their faces light up. In Zone 1 and Zone 2, people don't want to use other people's names because they're in pain, they're hurting. The fastest way to stop that kind of pain in Zone 1 and Zone 2 is to simply start using people's names. Use kindness, but don't overdo the names. Happiness is always an internal journey. In Zone 1 and Zone 2, people think that happiness is something that's out there. In Zone 3 and Zone 4, especially Zone 4, we understand happiness has always been internal. We are the only ones that can unlock our own happiness. And this is a pretty cool thing because it means that we have control over our own happiness. But how do we get there? We need to tick these green words in the Positive Excellence to be list. In order to tick these particular boxes, we must have an attitude of gratitude. We must have an understanding of hope. And we need to know deep down that tomorrow will be better than today, on average. That's why we have the CTKS Creed, and the first line is probably the most important. I know the universe wants me to succeed. This is all about the concept that there is a universal force out there. You can call it God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, whatever you want to call it, or the universe, or whatever you like. But the concept is, you have the keys to the kingdom. You can succeed, and you will succeed if you act in accordance with positive excellence. Simple shifts will create a world of difference. That's why we say the next line, every day I show kindness, integrity, and gratitude. The unkind do not succeed for long. Those without integrity get punished by the system, and those without gratitude get locked out of things. Therefore, it's really important to show kindness, integrity, and gratitude. And one thing to show kindness, simply use people's names. And watch what happens to your life when you do. The next line, I know opportunities and life reset daily. In Zone 1 and Zone 2, any setback, no matter how minor, is permanent. In Zone 3 and Zone 4, we keep at everything no matter how long it takes. Setbacks don't mean anything to us. We expect them. And we get a setback. We say, okay, what can I learn from this? And we don't take it personally. We just teach it. We take it as a teaching experience, a learning experience. The other parts of the CTKS Creed are equally as important. I am worthy, I go slow to go fast. I start small and scale with BORSOG. That's the key. When you are actually doing any investments or any trades, start small, then scale. Don't go into the gym and lift the heaviest weight. If you've never picked up a weight before, start with the smallest one. Even if it looks bad in other people's eyes, they've all been there too. They understand how the system works. Life pullbacks give me the strength for the next life rally. Some people are going through horrendous life pullbacks at the moment. Keep strong, keep focused, keep a positive expectation on the future, and no matter what, keep fighting. But do so with positive excellence, not negative excellence. I am dedicated and committed. I win or learn and never blame. In Zone 1 and Zone 2, blame is the only thing that people actually attach to. Blame is the most destructive emotion on the planet. It is literally the cause of all conflict. Blame creates an enormous amount of unhappiness because when you blame, you must attack another person. When you attack another person, that person will withdraw. When they withdraw, the person attacking will feel sad because they'll notice the gap and the difference. Blame and anger are incredibly destructive. That's why we say, I never let a problem beat me because I solve it with positive excellence. What is the way to overcome blame? It's just gratitude. What is the way to find happiness? It's through kindness. If we keep in mind, excuse the pun, all results come from the mind, and a better mind creates better outcomes, you know that you have the keys to success right residing within you at all times. You can change on a dime. You can basically say, I've lived my life one particular way, for example, in Zone 1 and Zone 2, and everybody goes through Zone 1 and Zone 2. There's nothing to be ashamed of or upset about with that. The key is, don't live there. Don't stay there. Get out of there as soon as possible because you deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve empathy. You deserve success. You deserve financial abundance. All of those things come, but not inside Zone 1 and Zone 2. And don't forget, it doesn't matter how much money or how little money you have. You can move to Zone 4 immediately. It just takes the right methodology. And that's literally what we talk about each and every day on this channel, because it's part of our mission. For every person lifted out of Zone 1 and Zone 2 and helped into Zone 4, there's just a little bit more happiness, there's a little bit more love, there's a little bit more empathy, integrity, kindness in the world, and that's what this world is so desperately lacking at the current time. We need to personally be the change that we want to see in the world. A lot of people think it's all about making money, but making money will just amplify who you are. If you're very rough, you're going to be more rough when you've got money. That's just the way it goes. If you're unhappy before you have money, you will be unhappy after you get money. Money only magnifies, it amplifies. This is something to keep in mind. This is why our community, our global family, is completely holistic. We look at making money, but we also look at how to have a beautiful life and how to bring our best self into every moment we possibly can. And we know we're going to slip back from time to time. That's okay. But the concept is slip forward as much as you can as well. Again, have a great weekend, my friends, and I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. Bye for now.